Hello everybody and welcome back to TJ's Talkshow here. It is Thursday, December 1st, and that means the collective bargaining agreement between the MLB Players Association and the MLB owners was set to expire today. And that's pretty much the big news in the baseball world today, so that's going to be today's segment. It's going to be just talking about the new CBA, which was agreed upon last night, roughly 4 to 6 hours before the old agreement was set to expire, which, if the CBA was not agreed upon, it would have basically stopped MLB for the time being, and the Players Union or the Players Association would have basically gone on strike, which is not something that would have been good to see or to really hear about as a baseball fan. And with the agreement happening before a strike or a lockout or anything of that nature, it continues its 21 years of labor peace. Each time they've needed to come up with a new CBA, they have done so without it technically expiring. I believe they have to wait for it to expire before signing the new CBA, but they did agree on a lot. They agreed on the CBA, which will take effect this next coming season, or as of today, actually, which has some pretty big rewards for free agents this year. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look into this new CBA. It is a 5-year deal between the Players Association and the owners. So for the next 5 years, these will basically be the rules, or basically what both parties decided what was going to happen. Some players had a little bit of fun with it, mainly John Lester. Jokingly jokes about his problem of throwing a first base in just about every situation. He said, although my plan or my vote for the pitchers not having to throw to first base didn't go through, I am glad the CBA was signed and resolved. But that's jokes aside. This is a pretty big deal because it continues baseball, and that's huge because this is one of the most important times of the year for baseball players, because this is where all the framework to new deals and possible trades that could even not even happen until next July at the trade deadline, they all start basically this month. Okay, the winter meeting starts tomorrow, I believe, the second, and it goes all weekend long. So it might have actually started today, with it going all the way through to the 4th. So it keeps a 4-day meeting between all general managers and affiliates and upper management and agents and all of this good stuff, because this is a huge part of the season for baseball. So, like I said, let's go ahead and get into it a little bit more. The biggest thing is obviously the salary cap, which will continue to increase year by year. The luxury tax, which went from $189 million as of last season, will go up to $195 million coming 2017. So all that is your cap, basically. Anything above that will be luxury taxed by the MLB. And 2018, it'll go up once more to $197 million. 2019 will go up to $206 million. 2020 be $209 million, and then the final year, 2021, it'll be $210 million luxury tax threshold. So, and then along with that, tax rates go up as well for teams that exceed that limit. Okay, and that's kind of a big part, because you're taxing $200 million. That's going to be a good amount of money, and there are different levels to how much tax you get charged. Teams exceeding the threshold has gone up 2.5%, so now it'll be 20% if this is your first time going over the threshold. So if year one, let's say you're the Seattle Mariners and you go over the $195 million mark this year, you'll get taxed 20% of whatever you're over. If this is your second time going over the threshold, you'll be taxed 30%, and for third time instances, it goes from 40% now to 50%. So you're going to be charged half of whatever you're over, which can get pretty spendy, especially for teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox, who like to just throw a lot of money out there because they want the biggest free agents. And there's also now a 12% surtax for teams $20 million to $40 million over the threshold, 40% for the first instances more than $40 million above the threshold. So if you're over $40 million, if you're over $40 million over 195, not only are you going to get charged the extra 20% just for being over, but for being that much over, you're going to get an extra 12% surtax on it. So it gets pretty spendy. So teams really want to try to stay under that tax, or at least keep it minimal, so they don't spend more in taxes than they do signing guys. Another thing was the international draft was talked about possibly doing, and that did not go through. There will not be an international draft, but they will continue the international pool money pool. But what they used to do in the old CBA was the worse the team was the year before. So let's just take the Braves or the Phillies. They were the worst teams, so they would get a little bit more money. They would get probably somewhere from the $5 to $6 million to use on international players from places like the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Netherlands, Korea, Japan, stuff like that. So that's where they got. And the better teams, like let's say last year's Cubs, best record in baseball, they'd get about $2 million to throw around an international market. But now the pool has been agreed upon in this new CBA that each team, regardless of record, will go between $5 and $6 million. They really haven't dictated if it's going to be a hard everyone gets the 5.5, or is it going to be each team will be $5 to $6 million with the similar concept of the worst teams get the 6 and the better teams get the 5. So that is also something that still has yet to be determined, I guess you could say. But that at least is an option. That's where it's going, and now it's just to iron out some more details. And that'll be presented to the public once more details about it get released here in the next coming days. Another thing that was talked about or agreed upon in this new CBA is there will be no roster changes. So they will stay at a 25-man roster through August and continue back to the 40-man in September. There was a little bit of a talk about maybe expanding to a 26-man roster for the whole for most of the season, and then a smaller, maybe 32, 34 guy expansion come September. But that did not really go anywhere, so we're going to stay at 25 and then go to 40. Disabled list has also been axed a little bit. Instead of a 15-day DL, they will now go on a 10-day DL. So that'll give you a little bit quicker of a turnaround. Let's just say you got a blister, and it's a severe blister. Let's go with that, because blisters tend to go away in 3 or 4 days. But if it's a severe blister that you could miss maybe a week if you're an everyday player, or maybe a couple starts. Especially as a pitcher, those can definitely nag throughout starts. So instead of being 15 days and missing 3 starts as a pitcher, you only go down to 10 and maybe miss 1, maybe 2, depending on when they put you on the DL. So that's definitely something that's not major, but it could also it makes a quick turnaround. So then you can bring someone up if the injury is going to be, more detrimental to a team than just your normal 15-day DL. Also, other random side notes is next year they're going to start the season midweek. That'll also create additional off days for teams throughout the season, so it shouldn't be such a grind for those guys who like to play 180 games a year. You'll get an extra day off, essentially. Another big thing, this one's really big to me, is the free agent compensation. So right after the season ends, teams have a couple weeks to offer a qualifying offer, which is based on the top, or the average of the top 125 salaries in the MLB. Okay, so I believe this year is somewhere between $15 and $17 million for this 1 year for this qualifying offer. Most guys get it, that get offered, turn it down because obviously they want more money and a more long-term deal. But the consequence is, let's say I'm offered the qualifying offer, I reject it, and I sign with another team. The team that I signed with would have to give up their first-round draft pick if it was not in the top 10 overall picks. They have taken that concept out pretty much, and instead, the new team that I signed with will keep their pick at wherever it was, but my old team would receive another pick instead, and also depends on how much I sign for, which is kind of a big deal because a lot of guys who get the qualifying offer tend to go for a lot of money for their new team. So if it's over $50 million or more, the compensational pick will be at the end of the first round. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to read it real quick. If a team from the 15 smallest markets that gets revenue sharing money loses a free agent who signs a $50 million or more, it will get a pick at the end of the first round. If the team is over their luxury tax threshold, the compensation pick will come after the fourth round has been completed. So there's a little bit of flexibility there when you're getting your compensation first round picks. So you can either go for a team like the Astros, who typically don't spend a whole lot of money. If, let's just throw out a name, this isn't anywhere factual, but just for an example, Dallas Keuchel. He's a big-time guy, going to get some big-time money whenever he's a free agent. Signs for over $50 million. The Astros are going to get that compensation pick at the end of the first round because they're not going to spend the $195 million cap that they have. So that's huge, but let's just say they are over, they would drop down to a fourth-round compensation pick. If the player were to sign for under $50 million, which is also possible, the team that lost the free agent would get a pick at the end of the second round, as long as it's not over the luxury tax threshold. If it is, it'll go to the end of the fourth round. So that's a big thing. So if you're under the cap and that's another thing that we'll also iron out. It'll depend. Is it when the player signs? Is it if I'm under the threshold, then when he signs, do I get at the first round or do I get it at the fourth round? Because let's say I'm going to use that extra money to go spend somewhere else and go over the threshold. So that's, a little bit of a gray area, which I'm sure will be ironed out here in the next few days because that's just the way baseball works. And if a team over the threshold signs a player, it will forfeit its second and fifth highest picks, along with $1 million in international pool money. If a team signs multiple qualifying offer free agents, it will forfeit its third and sixth highest picks. So there's definitely a little bit of forfeiting and compensation going around, but the other team wouldn't get them. I believe they would just have to forfeit their second and fifth round picks, for their second pick and their fifth pick, along with $1 million just for signing someone is over the threshold. Okay, so they're